Okay, call to order. Meeting. And then, okay, approval of the, I forgot, we haven't met since November. I'm supposed to remember these things. Okay, approval of the November 12th meeting.
So moved.
Okay,
So moved.
so moved.
Second.
And we got a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. All right, now we can have public comment on any items not on the agenda. Does anybody have any public comment? Okay, commission business. So we have some new members that we would like to introduce, Ryan Hearn and Mary Helen. So what we typically do is we can all go around and introduce ourselves and mention what your favorite park is or that kind of thing. So Caleb.
Caleb Recker. I've been on the commission, I think, for 2 years and some change. And my favorite park is Mercer.
Okay. How about you, Rachel?
Rachel McPherson, and I don't know, 2 years and some change as well. Favorite park is the old growth oak area of City Park.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm new to the commission. I have a fisheries data background and expertise, and I'm just happy to be here.
Cool.
And my favorite park is any that has water where I can fish. So
There you go. Okay. Jeff? You want to go?
Hi, I'm Jeff. My favorite park is Hickory Hill. This is going into my second year of being on the board.
Okay.
I'm Mary Helen Stefaniak, and I've only been on the commission for about a minute now. But my favorite park is City Park.
Alex Stanton. I don't know, I'm probably in year 3 of the Parks Commission. My favorite parks are, because I'm right in between them, Reno Street Park and North Market Square Park.
Nice.
Hickory Hill is mine, sorry.
Okay. Thank you. I'm Connie Moore, and I was just appointed to my second term starting now. And my favorite park is definitely Hickory Hill. You can just get lost in there and see all sorts of things. So there we go. So election of officers. So with this new year, is it year? Okay. We elect new officers. So I've been the president. Or is it a chair? I've been the chair. I'm like trying to inflate my role. No, I've been the chair, and we had the vice chair that his term was up. So we need to elect new officers. And so does anybody have a motion for a president or a chairperson that you'd like to have going forward? And you can do anyone new, if someone else wants to do it, you want to throw your own name in the hat, that's fine.
I nominate Connie Moore.
Oh, thank you.
Second.
Oh, you guys, thanks.
All those in favor?
All those in favor? Yeah, I better hurry. Okay. All those opposed? Ryan and Mary Ellen don't even know yet. So. All right, it carries. Okay, and now how about a vice chairperson? Is anybody feeling that? Jeff or Alex?
Sure. I can nominate myself for vice chair.
Okay, I will second that nomination. Yeah, yep. Okay, for this year. Okay, so Alex, and you're sitting in the correct spot, so it all worked out. So it is. Okay. All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, there you go. Vice Chair. Okay, so next item is Robert A. Lee Swimming Pool Deck and Locker Room Floor Project Update.
So I have Josh Worrell here tonight, our facilities manager. He and his crew have been working miracles down in this building, in the locker rooms and the pool deck. I'd just like him to walk you through what's been done, some of the things that surprised us, some of the work that's been happening. If you have any questions after he's done, feel free to ask questions.
Yeah, well, welcome everybody. Josh Worrell, like I say, facilities manager. Thanks, Julie. I just want to start off by saying that this all couldn't be done without the assistance of all of our staff. I mean, rec staff, pool staff, park staff, like everybody, it couldn't have been possible without their assistance. So I want to make sure that I thank everybody that helped us with this because it was huge. Kind of some updates, the kind of things we did. Obviously, we went into this project. We were going to replace the epoxy flooring in the locker rooms and on the pool deck. Obviously, once we get down to kind of that rabbit holes, we uncover things, we find things. So kind of things that kind of went along with that. So the men's locker room, we replaced the flooring in there. We ended up repainting the men's showers. Once we got in and we started taking a look at it, it's like, man, these really need to be redone. So we redid those. As we started into this project, the previous flooring project that happened, the epoxy flooring was done around the benches. Well, we didn't want to do that, so when we started taking the benches apart, they fell apart. So we started going down a rabbit hole, so we ended up putting brand new benches within both locker rooms in there, and then we updated with ADA benches as well to make sure that we accommodated for anything along those lines. We updated our changing tables. In the men's locker room, it used to be on the door of the maintenance closet. We moved that onto an open wall. There used to be a curb on the west wall. We think used to be lockers on there. We actually had that removed so we get a little bit more access space to walk in and out of there. Initially, we thought that was a wood floor, and we found out there was plywood on top of concrete, but the vendor went ahead and removed it for us. It was one of those challenge things, the hidden things we found. We removed a whole bunch of old controls, heating and cooling that was in there, and eliminated that stuff. It's been non-working for years. Signage updates happened inside of there. And then we also pulled all the HVAC vents down and we cleaned everything and made sure it was clean from top to bottom in there. We really spent a lot of time in there. The women's locker room was probably where we tackled our largest challenges, our largest uncovers. Because honestly, we don't spend a lot of time in there. My custodial staff does after close, but I'm here during the day and a lot of my staff, so we just don't spend a lot of time in there. So once we got in there, it's like, oh my goodness, we got to make some updates into here. There was a lot of lockers that were permanently locked. They were non-functional anymore. We removed them and got them out of there. The green monster is what we called it on the east wall, the storage closet. We took that out of there. We tried to use underutilized spaces and make them utilized spaces. We were able to repurpose some mirrors out of newly used space in the basement on the lower level. I call it the old shooting range, and put them into there to utilize that space. We moved the changing tables and updated those and got them out of where the sinks were at. So they were a little bit more accommodating for people that were using there. Again, updated the benches in there. Now, some of the challenges we ran into within the women's locker room is we had a rep come from Sherwin and we painted the locker room what we were given. When we started pulling the tape, the paint fell off the walls. It pulled off in sheets. So we actually had to go in there, rec staff and our staff, and we sanded every wall. And we spent a couple days in there sanding multiple layers of paint out of there and get it down to where we could get to make sure we had a good paint base to attach to, and we repainted everything in there. Some of the things we discovered in there was the poor lighting in the shower. I mean, they were kind of dungeons, I'm not gonna lie. So we put brand new lighting in those areas and really updated that space. Now, the old benches that were in those spaces, we actually repurposed those and made those countertops and replaced the old wood countertops that were in there. So we repurposed those as well to make sure that we were doing everything we could inside of there. Again, the HVAC, we did that. We updated all the signage, so we didn't have 50 signs like the old locker rooms have in it. There's 4 signs now. Everything is on those 4 signs. They're at the entry points. It really cleaned it up in there. Pool deck, office, and restrooms. So the flooring obviously was a big part in that area in there. We updated the lighting into the entry out of the locker rooms into the pool. Those were old, crusty, and broken. So we went ahead and redid those. We added new grab bars in the restroom on the on deck and updated some stuff in there. Repainted the office. We did a lot of investigating of things like, what is this? No one knows what it is. Or we think it's this from 20 years ago. How about we open it up and actually take a look and see what it is? There's things I don't even know what they were, but we removed them and got it out of there. So the old drinking fountains on the west wall, we actually removed those out of there and put a plate over the top of that, cleaned it up, made it look a lot more, just looks better aesthetically.
They hadn't been working for some time. So
Yeah,
if
they have not worked for years. They were unhooked for years. And I'm not certain why they didn't get removed. We just took them out and removed them and got that and actually found some stuff that we needed to know in behind the wall. So a lot of things, we learned a lot with this project. More controls removals, new hangers and storage, organized everything. We went through everything in the closets and we got rid of stuff that was junk, outdated, It was a group collaborative effort. It was awesome. So it's really a refresh. We deep cleaned everything from literally the ceiling to the floor. Every glass. Jeff actually made a comment. He seen me out there rocking out on the lift at 5 o'clock in the evening, cleaning windows. So yeah, we spent a lot of time in there. The pool was one we didn't plan to spend a lot of time in the pool, but we got our eyes open when we drained it. Actually dried. The paint was not in good shape. So we actually went in there and we sanded a lot of that inside of that pool to get it down to a decent layer and try to get as much as we could off there, and we repainted the whole pool. It wasn't something we had planned to do, but we went ahead and did that.
The walls in the pool area or the actual pool when
We
the
did the
water was
walls, the floor, we painted everything.
But the actual inside the basin of the pool.
basin.
Inside of the pool, yes.
Gotcha.
So we painted everything. I mean, we were down for a month and a half roughly. So the flooring project was supposed to take exactly 3 weeks, and they were really good to work with. They literally let us work around them, and they were done in 3 weeks, so it allowed us some time. We did have a lot of vendors that assisted us with things on this project, but a lot of it was investigating things, trying to figure out like cammering lines and trying to see where the state of things were at. When we get into pools, we can't see things until we drain things, and lots of things kind of uncover themselves. And we don't obviously try to drain every year. We try to get on a rotation every couple of years that we drain a pool, do the maintenance and do the inspections. So we did a lot of cammering of lines. I've learned a lot of things. All the drain lines in this pool are cast iron. All the fill lines are plastic, which is something we didn't anticipate running into. There is some challenges coming down the lines that we're gonna have to budget to. The drain lines are not in good shape in this pool. I mean, they are in not good shape at all. So, but this is the type of stuff that we need to do to be able to prepare ourselves to budget for future projects coming down the line. Kind of some other things we did, like I say, we painted everything. We replaced some jets and really balanced how the flow of the water is going through that pool. Before, there was jets missing in the walls, and we fixed a lot of things. We replaced a valve that feeds the kid pool, the leisure smaller pool in there. So we made sure we had adequate flow in there. Overall, I feel pretty good about where we stand in things. I will tell you, there was lots of hours spent here on this project, but I feel we're in a good place. Everything looks good. We spent some time in the boiler room and did a lot of updates inside of there. We replaced a bunch of valves and stuff like that, but I feel we're in a good place, and it gave us a lot of notes to prepare for budget in the future of things we really need to start putting a priority list on where we stand with projects. And so, any questions for me? I mean, is it?
It's not a question so much as I volunteer at the senior center, and they wanted you all to know the sprucing up of the RAL locker rooms and pool have been a refreshing lift to our spirits.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you.
Also, I'm just wondering, was there lead paint underneath? Why was it not sticking, the paint?
So it's just, no, it's just layers and layers of paint. Like, as we've evolved, paint has gotten better, and they initially sold us a single epoxy catalyst paint to put on there. And I kind of questioned, is this gonna work? And they're like, nope, it's gonna work. We put it on there and it just started peeling off. Well, they're like, well, maybe it's too slick. So, and anytime you paint against cinder block, it's usually got to be a sealing paint that's on there. So it was just, once we got into it, it was flaking pretty good. So we just sanded it down and got it to a point that we felt comfortable that we could really get a good binder to it. And it was the suggestions they gave to us. So it was pretty good, but there was quite a few layers that we uncovered on it, but.
But your question was there lead in the paint? No.
No.
That would never have been in swimming pool paint.
Correct.
No.
Correct. So, any other questions, you guys? Yeah.
Did you use the 2002 or 22 pool recommendations? Were any of those checked off, or was that something that guided what would be done this time?
Well, I really wanted to go into this project with just doing the flooring project, and once we started pulling back layers, we really started running into things that, like, we had to do something with it. Like, we had to make this update if we're closed. Like, we were down in the pit. So most of my staff is confined space training. So we brought in the tripod and we went down in the pit and we cleaned it out. I mean, we hand shoveled every bit of material outside of it, out of there, and bucketed it out of there. So we just did kind of an assessment of where we thought was, and then we will compare it to that assessment and say, where was it at then to where is it at right now? And what is the progression within that? of, do we really need to make priorities on here, or are we sitting pretty good?
Yeah, the things that we did with this shutdown were really just about current operations. So
Correct.
no, we didn't get to anything future-oriented. This was just simply things to keep it operating as it is right now.
Also like to second your thank you to the staff. I was here a lot of days watching this process. Flooring was amazing. Painting the pool was unreal. So much handwork went into with Brennan and Kevin.
Yeah.
And getting the muck off the tiles, masking the tiles from the paint. It was amazing the amount of work, as well as everybody else on staff.
It was
So thank
definitely
you.
a 7-day-a-week
It was a lot.
process for a couple weeks of, maybe even smaller tasks on some days, but we tried to make sure that we utilized every minute that we had, so.
Yeah.
I'll swim at this pool. Actually, I swim at all 3 pools, but now I'm swimming at this one, and I just want to reiterate how joyous was the re-entry into the locker room area,
good.
as well as the pools. And the thing that I think the most people enjoy the most, actually, is the increased lighting in the showers.
Yes.
Gosh, it's like,
Yep.
it was wonderful.
It was definitely an eye-opener when we walked in there. Once I got access in there, it's like, wow, we can make some updates to this. So it worked out well, and I will throw the praise to the vendors that we use, the local vendors that we use are very responsive when we ask on stuff, so they're great to work with, so.
So I'm a little curious. So what was the expected budget of the project, and then with everything else that kind of came up, what did it end up being?
So the expected flooring project was in around 40,000, 48,000 roughly, give or take. I should have brought that number and I didn't with me on that end of things. We stayed we had one change that I did, was to add where we took the gutter or the lockers out. We added some flooring in on that right there, but it was pretty minimal. As for operating wise, most of the stuff we can absorb in our operating budget, stuff that we would deal with on a given day. But number wise, I don't have the number that I can provide with you right at the moment.
We didn't anticipate nearly as much staff time going into this project. We were able to pull people, even from our administrative offices to go down and work on it. So I think the true cost of this project was the sheer number of staff hours that went into it, and that is something that we were able to absorb. Other things didn't quite get done the way they would have for a couple weeks, but it was worth it. So.
Yep. Yeah, we definitely capitalized on our staffing and timing to utilize with that. Otherwise, it would have gotten probably pretty pricey if I'd have been hiring contractor for everything on it. But they stepped up. I didn't even have to ask. Everyone stepped up and said, Josh, where can we help at? It's like, awesome. So I appreciated everyone that was willing to help us out with it, so.
Very good. Well, thanks so much, Josh.
Yeah,
Really
you bet.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Amazing. All right, next park project updates.
Yes, I'm going to have Ryan Anderson from Bolton and Mink come up. He's going to take my spot to make this presentation. This is one of the capital projects coming up for this summer. We've already had the neighborhood meeting, and we did the neighborhood survey, which had 220 responses to it, I believe. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. We've been really excited about the amount of feedback we've received as part of this park project. It's evident already and early in the process, understanding this too, that this is a really highly valued and unique kind of gem within the community. And so kind of from the duration of the project, we've been treating it with that level of care and respect. But I'll jump in here. Today I'll be talking just about the overview of the park, the project timeline, public engagement themes that were resultant from that over 200-person response, resultant project goals, and then project scope as well. So as I mentioned, it's a cherished neighborhood park about one city block. Notably, it's also adjacent to both Mann Elementary School and the Prussel School of Music. Elementary school to the northeast, and then School of Music to the north. That's unique to this park in that it is kind of a hybrid park, both public but also utilized during the day by elementary school students. And so it's been an opportunity for a unique partnership here with the Iowa City Community School District to work hand in hand on developing a park improvement scope that meets the needs of both the school and the community. As mentioned, it's a gem. It's established in 1839, same as College Greens up the road here. So it's been around a while. So that's evidenced by the mature trees. It's kind of got a traditional park layout, the four square symmetrical layout there. And then, of course, the architecture surrounding is, I think, integral to the experience that you have when you're walking through the park. Just a few quick images if you haven't been out there recently. The bulk of this park is broken out in those four quadrants. So the northeast is open lawn, the southeast is playground. Those are the two areas that will be impacting as part of this project, with a minor exception that we've had a little extra money to update a drinking fountain on the west side of the park. And then we're going to be resurfacing the existing basketball court in the northwest corner of the park. But the shelter in the southwest side of the park, the kind of center mural art space, that's all going to remain untouched. But today, really, the core of the project is the lawn space here in the northeast with the school in the background there. Is in fairly rough shape. It's just because it receives a lot of use. And once it kind of becomes disturbed and bare soil is exposed, invasive weeds will come in, and surfacing can get basically lumpy, uneven, which actually becomes kind of a safety concern for kids that are running out there and expecting a level surface to be playing on. Also makes it harder for staff just to kind of keep up as things get to that level. It's more and more difficult to keep it back to where it needs to go. And so as part of this project, I'll mention later, we're going to be basically redoing that lawn space so that we've got a nice kind of new lawn condition in that quadrant. And then the three images on the right are of the existing playground space. So it's engineered wood fiber or just wood fiber mulch, which you see in most parks around town. It's also got some of those rubber tiles near to the equipment. The equipment's getting up there in age, past its usable life here, and so that's kind of one of the core updates to the project is removing and replacing that equipment with new. So we've been working on this project, kicked off back in October, did the public engagement process, which was both an open house in this room, and then also a public survey. The bulk of that public engagement process was centered again on those two eastern quadrants of the park. I'll mention originally we were exploring options to do a more durable surfacing in that northeast corner of the park. So instead of replacing with lawn, actually putting in a mini pitch with artificial turf and fencing. Through that engagement process, we learned that residents didn't feel that kind of programming was kind of in alignment with the traditional character of the park and the way that the existing open space is appreciated and used on a daily basis. And so we've actually, as a result of that feedback, removed that item from the scope of work. Getting a little ahead of myself here, but December to March here, that's where we're getting into the construction documents for the project. We'll be bidding here in April. Important to note that because we are in direct coordination with the school, it's important that the work occurs while school's out and the park is accessible again for kids when school's back in session this fall. So again, I'll touch on those engagement themes. Really important that we're not changing the overall feel of the park, especially relating to the trees, which are adjacent to that playground space. They provide a lot of shade, just a lot of character, a lot of value to the park. I could go on and on as a landscape architect about the value of mature trees, but I won't. I'm probably preaching to the choir anyway. Providing a variety of play experiences for a wide range of ages. So looking at how the specific features within that playground are put together. So working with playground reps that understand how to provide multiple play equipment or multiple play experiences through the use of multiple different play equipments combined within a relatively large playground space. So the new playground equipment does respond to a large age group. Making the space more ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act compliant. So things like adding a paved connection from existing sidewalk to an accessible ramp as part of the playground equipment is something that's been baked into the project. Keeping the park open and flexible to multiple uses. One of the ideas we also kind of floated as part of that open house public engagement process was whether this was going to have fencing around the playground itself. That's an accessibility consideration in playground design. If you have folks with different abilities, some folks will actually come to a playground because it does have that fencing and they don't have to worry about kids potentially running out into areas like the nearby street that they wouldn't want people doing. And so determined as part of this public engagement that that would be kind of counter to the open and kind of roaming experience that people associate with this park today, and we wanted to preserve that as part of any future improvements. And again, the use of interest in use of natural materials in the playground equipment. I can talk to this a little bit. We explored different options. There are kind of like wood, natural materials that you can use for playgrounds. They're generally not as resilient, and they're also more difficult to maintain generally. And so in particular, working with the community school district, they have a standard that they like to utilize on their grounds, and we wanted to reflect that as part of this project as well. And so this is more of a typical kind of playground equipment that we've moved forward with for this project, with the understanding that we'll keep with the engineered wood fiber surfacing and doing the best we can to kind of honor that request that we continue the use of natural materials as much as possible throughout the design. So again, project goals, we're not trying to disturb any more of the park than we have to. So keeping to that eastern half of the park, again, preserving existing character, being sensitive to tree root zones, improving accessibility throughout the park feature, basically adding paved surfacing and making sure that there's accessible equipment with ramps included in the playground design. Again, lining up while school's out for summer, and then collaborating throughout this project with the school district and making sure that we're in alignment with their practices as well. So these are the areas that we're touching as part of the park. I think I've mentioned most of these already. We will be planting some additional trees that are going to be, some will be disturbed, some understory trees will be disturbed, but they're in coordination with the city, deemed not especially high value species, actually kind of a maintenance concern. And so we're going to be replacing those understory trees with kind of matching form understory trees in those locations that are less of a maintenance concern. And when I say maintenance concern, it's because they produce a lot of seeds that drop and can be actually invasive by today's standards. And so that's why those are coming out, and new ones that are non-invasive are coming in. And again, there's the basketball court in northwest corner, replacing both of those hoops, and then also similar to College Green, just adding a acrylic surfacing to that concrete that'll also include striping. And this is all in alignment with the city budget. So here's what that looks like. Again, kind of the yellow box around the eastern two halves there. Here's the drinking fountain that we're going to be replacing on the west side. So that's just going to get kind of shifted over to the south. That's done because all the plumbing
Can you
coming
move
into
the cursor a little bit more? I can't find where you're talking.
it's because it's you're not seeing what I'm seeing. So I'm gonna. You got it? Okay. So it's the square on the left side of the image there.
Got it, thanks.
Right now,
Yep.
it's right here, we're gonna move it to the
Basically just across.
Got it.
Yep. And that's just because water's coming into the site from the west there, and doing it in this location will make sure we don't have to close that sidewalk for, at least if we do close the sidewalk, it'd be for less period of time. No, we are adding some additional pavement into the project. We're coming up there's an embankment that leads up to fencing and the school playground there on the east. And then to the north, there's a low chain link fence with some landscaping on the park side in front of that. That's really there as kind of a safety barrier. There's the parking lot for the School of Music to the north immediately beyond that. So that's very much kind of the park edge. We're coming in on the nearest available level ground with this sidewalk addition. And that's really both to kind of complement the perimeter of the rest of the park, and also, again, to kind of elevate the level of accessibility for the park, so that there's more usable space for people that might have mobility impairments. There's a bench up here in that corner, some additional trees, again, to kind of help to frame the edge of the park a little bit compared to what's out there today. And then the playground's remaining essentially in the same location of the park, again with that concrete connection into this kind of hub of different sidewalk intersections with some additional bike parking and a bike fix-it station, replacing some benches here on the east side of the park. And that's really it. So it's taking a look at the park as it is today, trying to just kind of make some updates that don't radically change the flavor of the park as a whole. So if it was broken out into three things, it'd be playground replacement, new sidewalk, and lawn restoration. That's kind of the primary scope of the project. You can see there's those existing trees kind of right next to the playground. So one update we made recently was the removal even of this concrete band. We're going to go with a spade edge, so just kind of a direct lawn to playground surfacing there so that we're not doing anything that's going to cleave any of the roots in that area to make sure those trees are healthy. Here's the kind of renderings of the playground equipment that's going to be going in. So similar kind of configuration overall, that there's swings on the south side of the playground. There's some freestanding structures that, again, are really important for folks that have challenges kind of getting up onto the larger equipment, so they can just kind of walk up to those and interact with them. There's also kind of on the left side here, the larger kind of structure in the foreground. That's a wheelchair kind of seesaw. Kind of rocks a little bit as you get in there. It gives folks a chance that are, again, mobility impaired to come up the ramp nearby to that and get onto a feature that's specific for their abilities as a user. Slides and climbing structures the rest of the way. Again, it's kind of using blues and greens there. That's when we're trying to kind of follow that kind of request that we keep things relatively neutral and natural out there today. We're coming in on budget and collaborating with the school district, so that's been great. Otherwise, I'll stop the presentation there.
Can you go back to the budget slide?
So basically what you're seeing on this is the school district is paying for the playground equipment and the playground install on this project.
I had a couple questions if nobody else does.
I'm here.
I was wondering with the playground structure, it's nice that it's paid for. What's the anticipated lifespan on that?
Most playground structures are around 20 to 30 years. It's their expected life.
How old was the previous that you took out?
I'm not sure the exact year. It's been on the list for a while for removal.
I want to say 1991. I will have to look that up and get it to you.
Oh, you don't need to get it to me. It's okay.
Within that time frame that you said, that 20 to 30 year time frame is where I think it falls, somewhere in there. And with the one that was currently there, any of the parts that had broken now, they no longer made them.
Right.
So replacing those wasn't any longer an option for that.
Appreciate that. The other question I had, are those Basketball hoops, adjustable height.
Off the top of my head, thank you, Tyler.
Because the one spot we do have them that go up and down, they're constantly breaking on us or being raised and lowered and losing the razoring, lowering stick and things like that. So they are just the fixed height, which would be in keeping with what is there now.
Okay. Thanks.
So I have a couple questions too. So back when we did our parks tour, and we went to Market Square and looked at it, I think one of the intentions was to hopefully kind of keep the swings that were kind of already there and just kind of refurbish them. Is that the plan, or is it going to be take them out, put new ones in? And if it's take them out, put new ones in, is it going to be just this, where it's basically 2 or 3 swings and then 2 accessible swings, or?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay. And the tire swing will be gone? Okay. Okay. Okay, and then my other question, going to the new sidewalk. With the new sidewalk, is that, I understand the niceness of it matches the curved sidewalk that the other 3 quadrants have. I personally don't like it. I think the kids, they'll have the last day of school picnic, and those kids are literally sprinting like back and forth on that lawn, and they're playing soccer in the summertime, kicking the balls around. I'm just seeing people getting pegged in the head with soccer balls all the time as they're walking around on that sidewalk. And I'm not a huge fan of cutting out just open lawn space. But beyond the synchronicity of the park, what were the other considerations for why that sidewalk should be there?
Sure. So one of the main reasons that it is the most popular amenity we have at parks throughout the community. Even the new Shannon Drive or the new Adelaide Joy Rogers Park has a little loop that is incredibly used by residents. So it's not so much during the school use time, but it was felt like that would be a fairly low-cost amenity to add in that would add accessibility and mobility throughout the entire park. We also tried to push it off to the edge so it doesn't affect the playing surfaces like you're explaining. So it's only 5 feet wide, and it's off close to the trees and the hillside. Okay. So it will take a little bit of it, but we felt like that overall park use, aside from just the school use, this was one thing that could be added to the park that would provide for better use throughout all hours of the day, if that makes sense.
That's all I have.
Well, I guess this one. Well, I wondered too about the sidewalk or about the cutting into the lawn area to that playing area, because now it's kind of a rectangle, and like a lot of sports, you kind of play them on a rectangle for one thing, and it does cut off. I guess I'm not quite putting together this picture with what I know the area, looks like, and I have to say there was a kid the most use that park was getting today was a kid kicking a soccer ball around on that lawn, So it does seem as though, I guess I'm just surprised that the community didn't say, we don't want that sidewalk. That's all. I don't.
Sure. So it was added in after the original concept of doing a playfield, an enhanced playfield was kind of vetoed by the community. So we said, what else could be done within this budget that would enhance the park for all users? It's always a trade-off between green space and accessibility. So I think that's what we're at here, is that providing that extra paved path does take away 5 feet of the grass, but that provides that overall traffic flow and accessibility throughout the park. So,
yeah.
I guess I just don't totally see the accessibility aspect, because to me, if I'm coming from that north side and I'm going to the playground, I'm not seeing a whole lot of space or distance saved beyond just going to the middle and cutting over?
Sure. It's accessibility. It's that having a loop path for people to walk around throughout, to circulate through the whole park. That was our intent, so. And I also, Madam Chair, you also probably have public comment, which you can allow the 3 minutes for public comment too.
Okay, any public comment?
Thanks. I mean, nobody from the community saw this plan, so it's an after the fact.
Would you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, my name is Thomas Agren. I live in the north side next to this park for 16 years, and I've raised a kid that attended the school and was a kid of ages 0 through 10 in this park. So I'm going to run through a whole bunch of things because we are only given 3 minutes as opposed to everybody else. One of the things that I'm noticing, there are a lot of positive changes to the park from the previous plan. I support that, but I'm not going to talk about those. I'm going to talk about what's actually in front of us, which a lot of people haven't seen. One of the things I'm noticing with that new sidewalk, I agree that I think that there is plenty of people already circulate in that park on the sidewalks without that. So I don't quite buy that. I'm sympathetic to the fact that it actually psychologically diminishes the green space quite a bit. And in terms of the sidewalk, which originally part of what was said was that it was going to reduce ball conflict, I'm not convinced of that. It also adds in the opportunity for a lot of desire paths between the pickup area and the sidewalks, which is a stress on the turf. So I think that the sidewalk could be rethought, or maybe there could be like low bench height curvilinear walls that allow a place for parents to sit and kids to gather that also directs the flow of traffic out of that pinch point by the exit. Another thing that I'm curious about is there was a lot of conversation about ball conflict. I think a beautiful thing about this park is that I would call that interaction. I've never seen or heard of any catastrophic ball-related injuries in this park. I think people figure it out amongst themselves. And in fact, a beautiful thing is when a college student gets the ball for a little kid and hands it back to them. I think that's a really special thing that could be cultivated in the park, not diminished. If there's concerns about the balls, 2 small goals. They play soccer every single day there. That would be a good thing. There is ball conflict at the basketball court. I haven't seen that addressed in these plans. Every single time that the south side of the basketball court is used, balls roll into the street. I think there are multiple ways to solve that type of ball conflict, neither of which I see addressed here. One is to stop how the ball rolls, and another philosophy of that would be to say, how do we reduce the danger? Part of the danger is because of traffic, right? That's why we're concerned about going into the street. When we think about a capital improvement, a $250,000 capital improvement in this park, I'm surprised that traffic calming is not a part of it. There's only 4 or 5 houses that even open onto this park. There's lots of aggressive cut-through traffic. I would love if I saw collaboration between the city departments that said, yes, we can put in bollards here, we can put in sidewalk choke downs, we can make it easier and safer for kids to walk to the park. That would be really exciting. Local traffic only, local school park traffic only, signs that help create a safer environment. That to me would reduce ball conflict more than any of those things. Last thing I'll say is just about the playground, which I know that there are multiple entities that are very risk averse and liability focused for how they design play things. But I would say, so I know that this is just baked, the school's going to pay for what they want to pay for, but boilerplate, catalog, page 75, it's the same post and platform playgrounds that every kid is already bored of before they're built. So when $125,000 is being spent on a new playground in a supposedly really creative community, wouldn't it be exciting if the playground didn't look like every other playground in every other park in Iowa City, in every other park in every other community in the country? I'm out of time. Thanks. Happy to answer questions if you want.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Go back to follow. Thanks, Thomas. Mathieu Biger, also a neighbor of this park. Thanks for having us today. I wrote something, if I diverge, we'll see, but very fortunate to be able, thanks to in great part to the university program, to live near a park that was, as discussed earlier, on the original plat of the city, and therefore established in 1839, as well as professionally redesigned and rededicated in 2012. So this design has worked for 15 years. First, I'm very glad to see the lawn restoration, which is definitely much needed on that quadrant there, and the nice addition of a bike repair station. As a fellow biker, that's great. But I do have a few remarks regarding the open lawn that we've talked about. Myself and my family believe that for its very diverse users, from babies to senior citizens, I don't know what's cool to say now, but senior citizens, everybody basically, MAN students to UIOA students, as discussed, this should stay as open as possible with no additional sidewalk and potentially, even though I love trees, fewer trees and obstacles. A sidewalk would be hazardous to both the players, as well as benches and trees, both the players of many different games and sports, as well as prospective sidewalk users. Unprompted, I had printed this, but with no other prompt than this image. Both of my children, 10 and 14, voiced concerns about both the limits to play and risks of injury. They've played in that park since they were babies, and they've played many sports on that park. And conversely, they've also learned to bike in that park using the existing sidewalk, and they've done quite well with the current loop as it is. They were on balance bikes, they've grown up in a safe space, learning how to turn, learning how to take corners, learning how to brake, how to avoid other traffic. So that's worked quite well. Now they're very proficient. The risk has been discussed, but there's also, imagine someone go long, right? You know where you're going when you go long. You're going like this. You don't see a sidewalk, you don't see a bench. So an open space is, to me, and to I think most people who've played there, much safer than having an obstacle. There's already fences on both the city, for the park, the school grounds and Prussel. That is a limitation that anybody who's played, I don't know, baseball or any other sport that has a wall, you see that in your peripheral vision. You know that's the limit. Improved grass and maybe some sturdy soccer goals, as discussed, would make a versatile square space, as also discussed. Thank you. Square is a great shape for versatility. Even better, and if savings allow an even more exciting and ability/age diverse playground, that would be fantastic. As well as involving, both for playground and maybe that space, MAN, school, and students in addition to the district itself, because to the best of my understanding, and my children, one of my two children is at that school, there's been no interaction with the schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would address, the school district was highly involved in this plan, and that is where the playground recommendations come from, is from the school district side. They wish to have their playgrounds indeed match and be equitable across the elementary school system. So that's why you see the elements in the particular playground. There were two choices during the public input. Both were approved by the school district first. This was the one you see is the one that got the higher positive ratings back. So that's how that was chosen. So.
Our forestry guys were involved with the pre-selection.
Correct. Yeah.
I also agree. I think the sidewalk disturbs the character of the park in a profound way. And I just don't see the advantage of putting that money into that when we could use it for something else in Parks and Rec.
Yeah. The only other thing I would say about the path choice is when we talk about equity across our entire park system, that's the other part that we look at, is that what other parks have the larger loops. It's very popular. It's things that we plow the snow in the winter so that people can use it all winter long. That's part of the background. It doesn't mean it has to stay in the project, but that's part of the reason why we add that in whenever there's space. We definitely do not think it creates a safety hazard. We would never design something in a park that would create a safety hazard. So.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, so we'll move on to Napoleon softball fields renovations.
So I think we'll take those comments along with that project as it moves forward to City Council next, and they'll have a public hearing as part of the project at that level. We'll discuss it as staff before then, based on the comments heard tonight from the commission and the residents as well. So
Yeah, City Council will have another idea too, probably.
So Napoleon, we don't have slides, so I'm maybe going to have Ryan just give us a quick we're tag teaming all the different locations today. Go ahead.
I'll let you stay seated there, Julie. Napoleon Park down in the south side of town, north of Terry Trueblood, east side of the Iowa River. 8 ball fields today, one's in a clover configuration, then there's 4 to the north of that that are kind of paired in offset configurations. There's asphalt trail that winds through there today that actually also parallels the Iowa River Trail along the river there to the west of the ball fields. This project is another improvement project, not making radical changes to that park, but trying to define strategic solutions that just improve the way that the park functions on a regular basis. And so the way those improvements are being moved forward is the addition of a new trail segment on the very north edge of that park. That'll connect from the Iowa River Trail on the west up to existing trail closer to Gilbert Street. It's a parks maintenance building there, kind of on the northeast corner of Napoleon Park that we'll be connecting to. What that little comparatively small trail segment will do, is allow trail users to basically subvert the entirety of the park circulation interior within Napoleon Park. So today, they actually are able to remain on what feels like a trail alignment, circulate throughout the entire park through the intersection of all these different ball field and intersections, behind bleachers, around a concession stand, through basically a playground and shelter before they get back on the trail. And so that's one of the major pieces of this project, is to make sure that those trail users can get on the Iowa Trail from the east side of the park without going through the park, which is especially important on weekends when there's a bunch of people out there that are in the way. And again, that pedestrian cyclist conflict is kind of the impetus of that move. Secondarily, we're also making improvements to the ball fields, the drainage patterns, adding drain tile, regrading some of the fields to make sure water is moving away at an appropriate rate, not standing on the fields, incurring longer term or more maintenance down the line. As part of that, there'll be some new fencing, refinishing of ag lime surfacing, and then the asphalt trail that kind of winds through the park in areas where we're going to be impacting that'll all be brand new, likely with drain tile running underneath or nearby. And then like some just earthwork changes along the perimeter of the fields as well to make sure that water is moving around the fields as opposed to through, again, just to make life easier for the people that have to maintain these on a regular basis.
Hey, thanks. Any questions? Okay.
Are you going to put an air freshener system in out there? Anybody that uses those fields knows what I'm talking about.
That's what the trees are for, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. All right. So report on items from city staff. So Julie?
Yeah, my park project update is largely City Park Pool. Caleb, you might want to hear this before you walk out. So City Park Pool, we will be doing a public announcement either later this week or next week. We've shot a video that shows the project site and shows where we're at. Unfortunately, it's going to announce that we're now looking at a midsummer opening instead of a Memorial Day opening. It's due to a number of conditions, everything from winter weather conditions to some site utility issues we've run into, unsuitable soils very early on. And then lastly, some supplier delays on things like the roofing materials. So it's not progressing as we wish, although out there the last couple days they've gotten extra crews and it is a hive of activity happening now. So our hope is midsummer, and as I said, that'll be publicly announced through press release and video late this week or early next week if you need to share that information with other people. So that means swimming lessons for the summer will happen here at Robert A. Lee inside for another summer.
I had people, is it going to be done?
Yeah,
So
the pool basins themselves are done. We're doing well on the pool. It is delays largely to the bathhouse and filter house. So that's kind of where we're at on that.
Thank you.
So that's my update, my all encompassing in the last few weeks. So.
I bet, yeah. Parks and, okay, so Tyler? Oh. Here.
Sometimes I'm last, so I'm fine being next. So we're in full swing of seasonal hiring. That is what Alex and I are doing a lot of right now. We started this last week, so we'll hire somewhere around 55 seasonal staff for the summer season. And then we always replenish a few in the fall typically as well. So lots of hiring going on. It's always fun to meet the new people wanting to better our parks and work with us. We always have a lot of good applicants. So it's a fun time of year and a stressful time. For forestry and in parks, we've been doing a lot of structure pruning of the trees. Winter is the best time to do that. For oaks, for obvious reasons with health kind of considerations, but for all of our other trees as well. It really helps us be able to see the structure, see any issues, and get those taken care of now so they grow and are healthy into the future. And with a lot of our new trees we've been planting around, averaging around 800 a year, that means we have even more young trees, which is the most important time to prune them. So we've been very busy with that structure pruning, and thankfully after the snowy start to the winter, it's laid off a little bit because that same staff that prunes those would otherwise be pulled off to do things like plowing snow and things like that. So we've been thankful for the weather lately, even though it was cold. We've also been doing some pruning along trails. So a lot of times what that looks like is pushing back shrubs and other undergrowth that are typically invasive species in the areas. And that over the years kind of encroaches on the trail. So pushing those back occasionally every few years, we're able to keep that view shed wide for the users. It makes it easier to mow along there. It's easier on our equipment as we mow along those as well. So if you've been on the Court Hill Trail recently, you may see some work we did there. And this week we've been working on the Iowa River Trail close to Napoleon Park in our shop there. Exciting project that's going to be the first one to kick off for the construction season is the skate park pump track at Terrell Mill Park. So that'll be kicking off here with groundwork starting in March. So we're coming right up on that. The contractor, that's all already been out to bid. We've had our pre-construction meeting, so we're excited for that one to increase that space for the skaters and cyclists and everyone else that will be using that space. Staff is in the winter, we utilize some of the coldest days and things like that for training as well, making sure we stay up to date on certifications and different safety trainings that we need to do. So everyone always asks, what do you do all winter? Well, there's lots of things that we fill in those times with as well. I've been doing a lot of planning for tree plantings for this next year. So what that looks like is selecting which trees we're going to plant. First picking the neighborhoods that we are going to do large scale plantings in, and then figuring out how we're going to source that and from what funding sources, or how we're going to fund that and from what funding sources we're going to utilize. And then preparing those trees to go out for bids from contractors, or sometimes we get them wholesale. A lot of different ways we purchase trees, but just putting all those pieces together to get to that 800 or maybe more this year number of trees to plant. Also working on some prep for some plantings in some parks where we'll have volunteers help again, like usual. So we'll have plantings that typically Rotary, they're on board to help us again with at least one planting. The Heritage Tree Group has helped with plantings and will again. We've got Project Green and Master Gardeners, so lots of community groups that'll get their hand in helping us add trees to our urban forest as well. And then the last thing I've got on the list here, you may have seen a press release go out this week. We're planning our prescribed fire burns again this year. So we'll be doing some of those in-house with our staff that are all trained in the proper how to do the fires responsibly and safely. But we'll also have some contractors that are likewise trained and do burns, do a few of them, which will allow us to focus on some of the other areas and get more accomplished. So we've been working on getting a contractor to help with the Prairie at Waterworks Prairie Park and at the wastewater treatment plant, and the staff that run those facilities too with water and wastewater have asked for that help as well, and they'll be kicking in some of that funding for those as well. And we're working with the Fish and Wildlife Service too to have some grant funding cover some of that. And then we'll have a contractor working on some funding from a REAP grant in Hickory Hill Park to improve some of that woodland and prairie space as well with a prescribed fire there, mostly on the large hillside on the be the northwest side of that park there. So everyone always asks when we're going to do those. We typically don't know until day of, sometimes until we do a test burn on those locations to see how the conditions are responding to fire on those days, because there have been times where we've done a test fire and we've put it out and said this isn't the day to do it, we'll come back a different day. And then there are other days that we get to do a few, so we move from one to the next, not always knowing how long one's going to take until we get to the next. So sometimes the news calls and wants to do a video or something. We're happy to answer questions, and if they're able to get there, that's great, but we're not always able to provide those exact time frames. So what you'll see in the press release, and I'm sorry I don't have the exact list, but all the spots we hope to get to if the weather conditions are correct, and then that's kind of how we plan our burning for the year. I think that's my list. Any questions on any of that? Yeah. Ryan?
Yeah, I had a question. How often are the prescribed burns done, like per area?
Yep.
And is it only the prairie and grassland areas that you guys do the prescribed burns?
Yeah, that's a good question. We burn prairie and grassland more often than other spaces. The contracted work at Hickory Hill this year is going to include more of a, it's almost savanna, maybe a little bit of woodland space as well as prairie. But typically our ones we do with our staff are our prairie ones. It's a very key tool for us to keep some of those woody species kind of out, or at least knock them back a little bit. And in general, we'd love to burn on like a 3-year rotation. We have a few spots we've been able to do a couple years in a row if there's really tough species we want to get rid of. But in reality, sometimes it's close to that 5-year range. And then we have a few spots that just for the conditions and everything, we do more of a mowing kind of maintenance rather than burning. So 3 would be my ideal, but there's some variation on either side. Good question.
Thanks. Hey, all right, thanks, Tyler. All right. Oh, sorry. Oh, Rachel. Oh, sorry. Rachel, I have a question.
How do you decide which neighborhoods you prioritize for the tree planting?
For trees?
Is
Yeah.
it just neighbors advocating, or just whatever's more bare?
Yeah, that's a great question. A little bit of everything. So we're looking at where we have gaps in our urban forest. So I've looked at the heat maps that the Climate Action Division helped establish a couple years ago. So I've looked at those. I've looked at aerial imagery. I've looked at places where I know we've had to remove trees, whether they were ash trees or other trees that had issues. Every year we plant what we call our infill planting as well. So those are in neighborhoods that already have a fairly established canopy, but we're going and plugging some of those gaps. So the larger neighborhood scale plantings tend to be on the edges of the community, because if you think about as we grow out, we're typically growing to where there was a cornfield or soybean field before it was developed. So those spots are typically the spots that don't have as many trees. And we also look at it from a social equity lens as well. So there are some neighborhoods that maybe weren't historically invested in as much that we're trying to catch back up with some of our tree investments too, to create that urban canopy there, reduce heat, island effect, and things like that too. So lots of different things.
Yeah. Wow, who knew? All right, thanks, Tyler. Brad?
Yeah, so on the recreation side of things, I wanted to update you on some communications things that we're excited about. So as we've talked about before, and as our master plan, our recreation master plan addressed, one of the obstacles that we know that's out there is people getting the information about the different programs that we have. And so one of the things that we've made a change for this season, if you know, you've all seen our activity guides, they're beautiful activity guides. Unfortunately, they are pricey. They cost us about $4 or $5 per activity guide, so it's hard to distribute those in large quantities. That's why generally in the past we've kind of pushed people towards our online presence, but from an accessibility perspective, we like to still have those printed guides available. So one of the things that we've done this year to kind of combat that is we started developing rack cards. So as opposed to the $5 activity guides that we have, the rack cards cost us about 30 cents a piece. Front and back, beautiful, has a picture of our activity guide on there, has a QR code for the website where they can visit it with their phone. They can take a look through our activity guide. It also has a list of all the different programs and events that we have coming up for that season as well. And so with it only costing 30 cents a piece, we can print those in large quantities and be able to get those out to a lot of different areas, organizations, nonprofits, underserved areas in the community so that people are aware that we have all these different opportunities available to them. Because that was definitely one of the things that we struggled with is people don't even necessarily know that we have these programs going on. So that's one of the things from a communications perspective. Another thing that we've been playing around with that we're excited about might kind of seem mundane to some of you, but you've all seen the activity guides, you see our Facebook page, you see the different events that we have coming up. But on the other side of that, we have our programs that are going on. We don't post those on our Facebook page because it would just be noise. With all the different programs that we offer throughout the course of the year, that would just be noise. So we put some of that responsibility on our program supervisors to, they have this database through our ActiveNet registration program, this robust database where they know, this family tends to sign up for arts and crafts programs. This family tends to sign up for swimming pool lessons and things of that sort. So we can make targeted emails. But in the past, through ActiveNet, the marketing side of things was pretty dull. So the emails that we'd send out would just, they'd look plain. They didn't look very attractive. ActiveNet just released something starting this year. They updated that marketing feature, and so now we can make a lot better looking emails. We can also do a lot of tracking with engagement that we didn't have access to in the past. So we know now how many people are opening their emails. If there's a link that's in there, how many people are clicking on that? So we can start to kind of determine, are our emails actually reaching the mark? Do we need to restructure them? We can also make them look a lot more beautiful than they did in the past, so they might be more engaging that way to people. So that's a couple of different things that we're excited about. Like Tyler mentioned, we're gearing up for summer as well. We started garden plot renewals yesterday. Summer camp registration is coming up here in just a couple weeks. March 3rd and 4th, I believe. We're going to be doing summer camp at Mercer Park again this year. Our hope had been originally, kind of depending on how things were moving along, to have that at City Park, but we'll look for that for next year. And then farmers market registrations have started as well. So we're kind of gearing up with staffing. Program supervisors have started doing those interviews for them. And just a few other events that I wanted to highlight. On January 19th, we had our MLK Day of Service out at Mercer Park Aquatic Center, and true to form, that's always the coldest day of the year. But people did come out. We had a great turnout out there. And then we had Freeze Fest on February 1st out at TTRA. and we actually had a good turnout for that one as well. We actually did have appropriate weather for that. Usually it's Thaw Fest, as we make the joke. Usually it's like 40-degree temperatures on that day, but we actually had a little snow that morning. So it was a nice day for that. And then on March 7th, we have our STEAM Discovery event. So we're going to have a bunch of STEAM, robotics, arts and crafts activities happening here at this facility on March 7th. So it's kind of a little bit stuff that's coming up here. Any questions?
Related to the city park pool delay, like,
Yeah.
have you been thinking about like plans for how to allocate like lifeguards? It's probably going to impact your ability to like hire lifeguards.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's going to be a little bit of an interesting year in terms of staffing. This was kind of one of the pieces that we were putting together this week, is really kind of looking at, okay, when are we going to announce this to the public as far as, you know, what does that look like? What's our target date now that we know a little bit more information about some of the delays that's happening with City Park Pool. So we're still trying to kind of figure that out as far as how many lifeguards we will need to hire. And
Yeah.
it's going to be a different looking summer than it has in the past, that's for sure. And then hopefully we'll be able to get a full season next year, and it'll look kind of like it has in the past.
Anyone else? Okay.
All right, I have one item I forgot to mention earlier. So we had a family come to us a week or so ago, and I'll pass this picture around. Her grandfather was part of the original construction crew on the original City Park pool. So she provided us with a historic picture and then a small donation to some items for the new pool. So we thought we would pass that along. They asked to remain anonymous, so I cannot tell you the name, but it was kind of a heartwarming story to have them come in and share that with us.
Oh, how fun. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks all. Okay, so commission time, or suggestions for future agenda items. Rachel, do you have anything?
I just wanted to let everyone know that Mark Cannon is restarting his water mindfulness class, and this time it has a theme of the mystics. So he's combining mindfulness with snippets of literature from writers Mark has selected as mystics. So Hildegard, Twain, Angelou, Emily Dickinson, Baldwin, and James McPherson.
When is his class?
I think there's more coming, but it's weekly, and I believe it's Monday or Tuesday. Tuesday, okay.
Tuesday at what time?
8 to 9, I think.
Yeah, I think so
Tuesdays
too.
at 8. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you. Okay, Ryan.
Yeah, I don't really have much comment, but I'm just glad to get in the swing of things, and nice to meet everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan.
Thanks for your questions.
Yeah. Jeff?
On the survey that went out recently, it looks like the city is considering a new web hosting and web program for things. What are they doing? How does that involve us?
Well, I believe the email was forwarded on for you to take part in the survey. Did that go out, Gabe? Yeah. So you want to take part in that survey and get your information in through that platform.
Right, but do you know what they're doing? It says they're redesigning the website.
Yeah.
Or a new website.
Unfortunately, no, I don't know any more than what's been publicly announced. So, sorry. I could find out for you, but I don't know anything. So.
Mary Helen?
Well, I'm also glad to meet everybody. Oh, I guess I'm glad to meet everybody. I don't have any particular thing to propose for the agenda. I am still wondering about, I guess I'm still thinking about the sidewalk at that park because it just really cuts the playing field down more than it's, because you do need a rectangle. So I was wondering, is there any, like if people wanted to make more public comments, I mean, is there a procedure for that, or can they just come to a meeting and make the, public comment on items not on the agenda, or how do they do that?
Sure. So what happens at this time is staff will take the information received tonight. We'll go back with Ryan, our designer, talk about it some more. And the next time the public will see it, one is when it goes in front of the city council for their.
Okay, and
for
so then
their
they could do
approval.
public comment.
Correct.
Great.
Yep.
Okay, Alex?
Do you know approximately when that might come out of the city council?
It'll be sometime in March, I believe.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I went to the Freeze Fest event with my daughter. It was super fun. That happened to be during my son's nap time, so he couldn't make it, which was a bummer because there were dinosaur bones, and I know he would have been absolutely psyched to be there. Yeah, that was a really great event. And saw people walking on the water, or walking on the lake at Cherry Tree-Blood. It really freaked me out for a minute, but then I got used to it. Yeah. Otherwise, appreciate the input from everybody about North Market Square. I know us North Side people can be kind of loud, and but I appreciate their advocacy.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Okay, yeah, and welcome to Ryan and Mary Helen. We're just so glad to have new people too. And so what great reports tonight. It feels like forever since we've met, and it has been several months. But the only thing I had a question about was like Special Olympics. Is that something, I think we had it in the past, and I know there's a unified team, and the school district is also going to be doing unified teams. And so just wondering if there's anything, or what the latest was with Special Olympics.
Yeah, so we moved our adaptive programs away from Special Olympics, being that they were so sports focused and the travel involved was not something that we could support. So they are doing a number of sports related programming things, but it's focused more on the recreation or local play on those types of things. Also using, help me Brad, the UCAN program for some, Can Play program for some of them. So we have altered so that people of varying abilities are getting sports related programming. It's just different from what Special Olympics was offering.
Yeah, I just, there's some history with it, and I wasn't sure. I'm on the unified team, and it's so fun. Anyway, just wondering. Okay, and with that, I guess we can get a motion to adjourn. All right, for Jeff first. Anyone second that motion? All right, Ryan. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? All right, we're adjourned.